The most famous giant recorded in the Bible was Goliath of Gath. Goliath was a fearsome warrior from the Philistine camp, towering over 9 feet tall. He wore a bronze helmet and a coat of scale armor that weighed about 125 pounds, as much as a grown man. His legs were protected by bronze greaves, and he carried a bronze javelin slung on his back. His spear was colossal, with a shaft like a weaver's rod and an iron point weighing 15 pounds. Goliath's shield-bearer walked ahead of him, carrying a massive shield to protect him in battle. His very presence struck terror into the hearts of the Israelite soldiers. For 40 days, Goliath came out every morning and evening to taunt the Israelites, challenging them to send out a champion to fight him one-on-one. He mocked their God, scoffing at the idea that any of them could stand against him. "Why do you come out and line up for battle?" he roared. "Am I not a Philistine, and are you not the servants of Saul? Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your slaves. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our slave and serve us." His insults and defiance caused great fear and dismay among the Israelite troops, none of whom dared to face him. But then came David, a young shepherd boy sent by his father to bring food to his brothers who were in the Israelite army. Upon hearing Goliath's taunts, David was filled with so much wrath. He could not understand why the Israelites allowed this Philistine to defy the armies of the living God. David's faith in God was unwavering, and he believed that God would deliver Goliath into his hands. Despite his youth and inexperience in battle, David volunteered to fight Goliath. King Saul initially dismissed him, but David persisted, recounting how he had killed lions and bears to protect his sheep. Convinced by David's determination, Saul reluctantly agreed and offered his own armor to David, but it was too heavy for the young shepherd. So David decided to face Goliath with what he knew best, a sling and 5 smooth stones he picked from a stream. As David approached Goliath, the giant looked him over and despised him with anger and said, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" he sneered. "Come here, and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." Undeterred, David replied, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel." With those words, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet Goliath. Reaching into his bag, he took out a stone, placed it in his sling, and hurled it with all his might. The stone struck Goliath squarely on the forehead, sinking deep into his skull. The giant stumbled and fell face down on the ground, dead. David then ran over, took Goliath's sword, and used it to cut off the giant's head, sealing his victory. The sight of their champion defeated threw the Philistines into a panic. The Israelites, emboldened by David's triumph, surged forward with renewed morale. They chased the fleeing Philistines, striking them down along the way to the gates of Ekron. The bodies of the dead and wounded Philistines were strewn along the Shaaraim road to Gath and Ekron. The Israelites plundered the Philistine camp, taking valuables and supplies left behind in the haste of their retreat. David's victory over Goliath became a pivotal moment, not only in the battle but in the history of Israel. The defeat of the giant demonstrated the power of faith in God and solidified David's reputation as a mighty warrior and future leader of Israel. In the aftermath, David took Goliath's head to Jerusalem and kept the giant's weapons in his tent. The news of David's victory spread rapidly, and he was brought before King Saul. Saul inquired about David's family, marking the beginning of David's rise from shepherd boy to a key figure in the Israelite army, and eventually to the throne of Israel. After the death of Goliath, one might have thought that David had slain the last of the giants, but Goliath was just the beginning. The land still harbored giants, descendants of the Anakim, driven into far territories by Joshua and his army. Among these giants were Goliath's 4 brothers, each as tall and mighty as he was, and each met their end in battles against the brave warriors of Israel. Goliath's brothers were known for their incredible height and strength. Goliath himself stood over 9 feet tall, but his brothers were even taller, with the eldest reaching a staggering 13.5 feet. These giants were not just tall, but also immensely powerful. They wore thick armor that clanged with every step and wielded massive weapons that seemed too heavy for any normal person to lift, roaring and raining insults on whoever their opponents were. Their presence on the battlefield struck fear into the hearts of their enemies. One of Goliath's brothers, Ishbibenob, was particularly fierce. Ishbibenob carried a bronze spear with a head that weighed over 7 pounds and wore new armor, ready for battle. During a skirmish against the Philistines, he saw an opportunity to kill David, who had become weary from the fight. Just as Ishbibenob moved in for the kill, Abishai, one of David's loyal friends, came to his rescue. With swift and deadly precision, Abishai struck down the giant, saving David's life and ensuring the victory for Israel. Ishbibenob, one of Goliath's formidable brothers, stood out for his fierceness on the battlefield. With his imposing stature and formidable weaponry, posed a significant threat to David and his army. Carrying a bronze spear with a head weighing over 7 pounds, Ishbibenob was prepared for battle, clad in new armor that gleamed in the sunlight. He gave an aura of invincibility as he faced off against the Philistine foes. During a tense skirmish, Ishbibenob spotted David, who had been battling tirelessly against the Philistine forces and had grown weary of the battle. Sensing an opportunity to strike a decisive blow against the Israelites, Ishbibenob seized the moment, intent on claiming victory by taking down the renowned warrior. However, just as Ishbibenob moved in for the kill, Abishai, one of David's loyal companions, intervened with remarkable speed and precision. With unwavering determination, Abishai stepped forward to confront the towering giant, his courage undiminished by the daunting odds. In a swift and calculated strike, with deadly precision, Abishai struck Ishbibenob, delivering a decisive blow that saved David's life and ensured victory for Israel. The clash between these two mighty warriors must have been fierce, echoing across the battlefield as they fought for the fate of their respective nations. Saph, also known as Sipi, was another towering giant among Goliath's brothers, renowned for his immense strength and formidable presence on the battlefield. Clad in heavy armor and wielding a massive spear that demanded both hands to wield, Saph struck fear into the hearts of his adversaries as he stood ready for combat just like his brothers. During a fierce confrontation with the Philistine forces, Saph encountered Sibi, the Hushathite, one of David's valiant warriors known for his exceptional bravery and combat prowess. The clash between these two formidable opponents was nothing short of epic, as each sought to gain the upper hand in the heat of battle. Despite the overwhelming odds, Sibi proved himself to be a formidable adversary, matching Saph's strength with his own unwavering resolve and skillful tactics. With each stroke of his weapon, Sibi pressed the attack, refusing to yield even in the face of the giant's relentless onslaught. Through sheer determination and prowess, Sibi emerged victorious, delivering a decisive blow that felled Saph, thus securing yet another triumph for the Israelites against their formidable giant adversaries. Elhanan, son of Jair, bravely confronted Lami, another of Goliath's imposing brothers, on the battlefield. Like Goliath, Lami was a formidable giant, wielding a spear with a shaft comparable to a weaver's rod, a testament to his immense strength and stature. Undeterred by Lami's imposing presence and formidable weaponry, Elhanan fearlessly engaged him in a fierce duel, demonstrating his unwavering courage and determination in the face of adversity. With a precise and powerful strike, Elhanan dealt a fatal blow to Lami, adding another chapter to the legacy of giant slaying among David's valiant warriors. The final brother stood out among the rest for his peculiar and fearsome appearance, having 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. This unique trait only added to his intimidating presence on the battlefield, where he fought fiercely for the Philistines. During a confrontation with the Israelites in Gath, this 6-fingered giant emerged as a formidable adversary. Jonathan, the son of Shimea and nephew of David, rose to the challenge and confronted this imposing foe head-on. Despite the giant's daunting stature and unusual physical characteristics, Jonathan showcased remarkable courage and skill as he engaged in a fierce battle. In the heat of combat, Jonathan's bravery prevailed, as he delivered a decisive blow that led to the downfall of the 6-fingered giant. This courageous act not only secured victory for the Israelites, but also dealt a significant blow to the remaining giants, further diminishing the threat they posed to the people of Israel. Jonathan's triumph over this formidable opponent stands as a testament to the unwavering determination and valor of David's lineage. perpetuating the legacy of giant slaying that had become a norm with the brave warriors of Israel. The giant brothers met the same end regardless of their advantages on the battlefield. The defeat of these giants by David's warriors marked significant victories for Israel. Each battle showcased not only the physical prowess of David's men, but also their unwavering faith and courage. The giants, despite their size and strength, fell one by one, proving that the spirit and determination of the Israelites, guided by their faith in God, could overcome even the most formidable of foes. These victories over Goliath and his brothers solidified David's reputation as a leader whose faith and bravery inspired his men. The tales of these battles were recounted for generations, serving as reminders of the might and valor of David and his warriors. They demonstrated that with faith, courage, and unity, even the greatest giants could be brought down. Goliath's brothers were a threat to Israel, as it was their legacy, but they too met their match. Each brother was eventually defeated by David's warriors in a series of battles, ensuring peace for the Israelites. These giants, descendants of the ancient Nephilim, had once spread fear and chaos, but their defeat completely sealed the idea that they were gods or godlike. They were mere accidental creatures that existed outside the will of God. They wreaked havoc and all manner of chaos and had to be brought down. The story of these giants doesn't end with Goliath and his brothers. Throughout history, many cultures have told tales of extraordinary beings born from the unions of gods and humans. These stories often speak of great heroes and terrifying monsters, reflecting a fascination with the idea of beings who are both human and divine. The story of the Nephilim and the giants isn't just confined to biblical tales. Many cultures have legends of giants, from the Greek Titans to the Norse Jotun. These stories remind us of a time when the world was full of wonder and mystery, and great beings roamed the earth. Long ago, there were strange and mighty beings called the Nephilim, also known as the giants of old. These giants lived in a world much different from ours, a time when humans were just beginning to spread across the earth. The story of the Nephilim starts with the mysterious sons of God, who saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful and decided to marry them. This union brought about the birth of the Nephilim, who were described as heroes and men of renown. In the ancient days before the Great Flood, the world was a place of wonder and mystery, teeming with beings both divine and mortal. Among these beings were the enigmatic sons of God, celestial entities who inhabited the heavenly realms. One day, these divine beings gazed down upon the earth and saw the daughters of humans, who were strikingly beautiful and graceful. Captivated by their beauty, the sons of God decided to descend from the heavens and make the earth their home. Disguising themselves as men, they walked among the humans. These celestial visitors were not just passive observers, they actively sought the companionship of the daughters of men. With their charm and charisma, the sons of God wooed the human women, winning their hearts with gifts and promises of a life filled with wonders. According to the ancient texts, including the Book of Enoch, 200 of these divine beings, led by a powerful entity named Semyaza, swore an oath to take human wives. They descended upon Mount Hermon, where they made a pact to share in both the pleasures and the consequences of their actions. The union of the sons of God and the daughters of men was both a scandal and a marvel, as these heavenly beings mingled with mortals in a way that had never been seen before. They took wives, each choosing for himself. They began to approach these women and cohabited with them, teaching them sorcery and solutions to sorcery, incantations, the dividing of roots and trees, how to make swords, knives, shields, mirrors, bracelets, ornaments, use of paint, beautifying of eyebrows, how to know stone of good or great value. They taught men a large variety of things that are quite common in our modern day. They also taught humans astronomy, signs, and divination, and so on. The world became altered, men began to destroy themselves, and sin, especially fornication, became rampant. But that's not the most interesting part. From these unions, extraordinary offspring were born, the giants known as the Nephilim. The name Nephilim comes from a Hebrew word meaning to fall, showing that their origin came from the fallen angels. These beings were not only immense in size, standing far taller than ordinary men, but also possessed incredible strength and intelligence, becoming legendary heroes and men of renown in their time. They were often feared and respected, known for their mighty deeds. The Nephilim's influence spread across the ancient world, and their deeds became the stuff of legend, captivating the imaginations of people for generations. However, their existence also brought chaos and corruption, as their sheer power disrupted the balance of the natural world. These giants devoured all that the labor of men produced, until it became impossible to feed them, and then they turned themselves against men to devour them as food. They also began to injure birds, beasts, reptiles, and fishes, to eat their flesh one after another, and to drink their blood. The mingling of the divine and mortal had unforeseen consequences, leading to a world that teetered on the brink of destruction, setting the stage for the catastrophic events that would follow. God saw and heard the cries of humans and the earth, and then he caused a mighty flood to cleanse the earth of everything that had been corrupted. Only Noah, his family, and a pair of all animals did God spare. When the flood came to cleanse the earth of its corruption, most of these giants perished. Yet the lineage of giants persisted through a man named Anak and his descendants, the Anakim. He was a famous giant and the forefather of the Anakim, another race of formidable giants who inhabited the land of Canaan, posing a challenge to the Israelites during their journey to the Promised Land. These Anakim were renowned for their extraordinary size and strength, making them a source of fear and awe among the people of the region. When the Israelites, led by Moses, approached the borders of Canaan after their exodus from Egypt, they were instructed by God to scout the land. Moses sent 12 spies, one from each tribe of Israel, to explore the territory and bring back a report on its inhabitants and resources. The spies journeyed through the land for 40 days, observing its bounty and the imposing presence of the Anakim. Upon their return, 10 of the spies delivered a disheartening report to the Israelites, describing the land as flowing with milk and honey, but also inhabited by powerful giants. They recounted seeing the Anakim, whose sheer size made the Israelites feel like mere grasshoppers in comparison. This report sowed fear and doubt among the people, causing a rebellion and reluctance to enter the Promised Land. However, Joshua and Caleb, 2 of the spies, urged the Israelites to have faith in God's promise and not be afraid of the giants. Despite their pleas, the people's fear prevailed, leading to their prolonged wandering in the wilderness for 40 years as punishment for their lack of faith. When the time finally came for the Israelites to enter Canaan under Joshua's leadership, they were prepared for the formidable challenge of facing the Anakim in battle. The conquest of Canaan involved numerous fierce battles, with the Israelites relying on their faith and divine guidance. One of the most significant confrontations occurred in the hill country, where Joshua and his warriors faced the Anakim. Despite the giants' intimidating size and strength, the Israelites triumphed through their strategic prowess and unwavering faith. Joshua and his forces systematically defeated the Anakim, driving them out of their strongholds. However, some of the Anakim managed to survive and fled to coastal cities like Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod, where they continued to live for generations till the time of Goliath and his brothers. As time passed, the stories of the Nephilim and other giants were passed down through generations, becoming part of folklore and myth. People wondered if there might be some truth to these ancient tales, if giants once walked the earth alongside ordinary humans. With all certainty, God knew we would ask these questions, so he made sure men of old documented tales of old that involved ancient beings who are now mythical to us, to tell us that giants indeed existed in time. And so, the story of the Nephilim, Anak, and the Anakims, Goliath and his brothers, continues to capture the imagination of both young and old. These giants remind us of a time when the world was full of mysteries and marvels, and when faith and bravery could overcome even the mightiest of foes. As we conclude our tale, remember that these stories of giants teach us about bravery, faith, and the triumph of good over evil. Whether you're a child dreaming of adventures or an adult reflecting on the mysteries of the past, the story of the Nephilim and the giants will continue to inspire and captivate for generations to come. Although we know that giants are extinct, but some life situations have the features of these giants, they seem like you can't figure them out, and they are out to destroy you or demoralize you. I want you to know that this tale is to tell you that you have the power to bring them down to dust, with faith and chivalry. That's why God provided you with the whole armor of God, and still backs you up and is ready to intervene as soon as you call on.